Hello, everybody. Today, I'm here to talk to you about the Hoka Rocket X3. This is a carbon-plated racing shoe. I've made a couple videos on it already, and the purpose of the one that I'm making right this very moment is to bring you an up-to-date analysis on how I feel about this shoe, provide clarity on my previous analyses, and to give you a wicked twist that I myself didn't even see coming. So strap in, get ready, and I'll catch you on the other side.
Hello everyone, I am back today with the Hoka Rocket X3. I'm currently in the process of trying to diagnose and understand why this doesn't work for me as a shoe, and hopefully get it to work for me. The current issue that I'm experiencing, that I've been experiencing the entire time, is that I get really bad heel slip in this, and I really can't figure out why. I think it's the shape of the heel cup combined with the fabric that's just totally throwing everything off. It's actually somewhat locked down right now, but it's too tight, and I'm gonna have to stop and renegotiate how it's fitting around my ankle to stop it from hurting. So here I sit, trying to make sense of it all. The Hoka Rocket X3 has been a trying and difficult shoe for me to get a good lockdown without strangulating my entire foot. And so far, not really anything at all has worked on my right foot, which is my problematic foot. My left foot is currently alright, actually, though that's been a struggle as well, intermittently. So I'm just fiddling with the laces. I was hoping to just get out and rip, but alas, I'm fiddling on a gorgeous blue sky day with a shoe that frustrates me. We're gonna give it another go. Oh, that was immediately too loose. Let's see what happens over the next little bit as we go over this bridge. I feel like it is unfair for me to make any sort of determination on a shoe before I could get it to fit my foot properly. But with this fitting really short and the seemingly endless oscillation between lockdown problems and too tightness constricting circulation in my feet, I feel like this one might just not work for me. But the run is young, the day is bright, and I'm going to try to get some footage of how I'm landing in these to see if that could offer an explanation as to the fit issues. just hit a couple strides back and forth to give you a look at what my form looks like. It's mostly for me to determine what my form looks like in these shoes, and if I'm doing something that is radically different than what is my typical stride, because that's just they feel so different underfoot. But I do think that I might have achieved something of a setup. I am getting a lot of plate feel on the right foot and a lot of just general roughness on the left foot throughout the entire midsole. Like my Achilles feels it a little, my bottom of feet, but I might have clicked something into place overall. And leading into those strides, I did a pretty fast, like, half mile, just to open up the taps a little bit, since yesterday was a, oh my god, I'm struggling. Since yesterday was a rest day, it felt good to shake off the cobwebs and get some pace in there. Feels like these really just want to punish you for existing. But they're fast though. I feel like a fresh super shoe. It feels nice. To bounce that high. And it feels not nice to suffer pain as a result. It's like each landing you take off as if you're an astronaut on the moon, or each propulsive forward step you take off as if you're on the moon, and each landing step you land as if you're on Earth's gravity. So I guess maybe that's really what it boils down to, is it's a not a very cushioned ride, but certainly a very responsive one. You know what it is, and I hate to say it because I like the idea behind this. The winglet, if I'm correct, and I don't remember, should be on the medial side. I guess I'm incorrect. Then it's something else. What I'm feeling right now is plate feel, and as if there were a winglet on the medial side on both feet, pressing into the side wall of my forefoot, and that's constricting it in the front. And also, I mean, the plate feel is just the way it is. The Piba is too soft on the top. That's why that's happening. I really thought I had figured it out. I'm ripping some pretty good pace for the temperature. It's not too hot, but I've been relatively consistently under 8. So I'm gonna keep going quickly. Hopefully I could get you somewhat of a final review. I don't know if I'm gonna run in these again. They just do not feel good to run in. They hurt my forefoot. Getting a lockdown is pretty much impossible. And if I do accomplish a lockdown, it comes at the expense of constriction throughout the foot. Not quite numbness and tingling, but still muscular fatigue generated from being too tight. So if you have to tie your shoes too tight to be wearable in order to get a lockdown, then they're not really wearable shoes. So I know that's harsh, but so are these.
Here we are on the other side. So I lost you after some pretty critical and harsh words on the Rocket. It was not shaping up to be the best run that I've ever had. And then, somewhere towards the last clip from Out on the Run, I had mentioned that I had roughly gotten a nice, decent lockdown on the shoe. Well, from that point onwards, I took off and just straight up went up a hill, around a parking lot, at not full tilt, but 7-minute pace, a little bit under. A lot of the problems that I was talking about out on the road were not exactly gone so much as muted by the effort that I was putting into the run. So I kicked it into high gear. The plate feel on the forefoot was still there. The slop fit and inability to get a lockdown was still there, even on both shoes. Maybe not as prevalently as other runs that I've done in this, but still certainly a factor. But all of that was turned down by the speed of the run. Sort of like when you go for a long drive with really loud music and your windows either cracked or down, or you're on a highway and you step out into a nice country road and it's just overwhelming how quiet everything is. That was, this section of run was the drive. And when I got home, everything was just on blast. So what happened? I took off at the pace that I was just saying, around 7-minute miles, and then I cranked it down a little bit for the next mile to like 6:45-ish, average pace across the mile. And then in the last mile, I was like, wait, what is my 5K PR? It's like 21:40 or something. And I've known for a long time now that my 5K PR is kind of nonsense. It was run, I don't even know, I think it was like last December or something. And it was I think it was actually during a track workout, but for reference, for my type of running, how I've been running, my half marathon PR also contained my 10K PR. And that 10K was run very nearly at the same speed as my 5K PR. So they're really, really similar to each other. I don't get much faster as the distance gets shorter. I have run a quicker mile than my 5K times, so my mile is a little faster than what my 5K would imply, or what my half marathon would imply. But otherwise, the three middle distances, I call them middle distances, I don't know, they're not really, but 5K, 10K, and half marathon, they're all very similar in terms of literal pace. And so I haven't updated my 5K PR in a while, even though I have known that I've been capable of it for a while. That was my team's noise. Don't worry. It's all good. And that's why it was so surprising at around mile 2 that I was like, wow, I'm really on pace, and it's not even effortful right now. I didn't feel like I was gassed. Granted, I had just come off a big downhill segment, so of course I wouldn't feel gassed in that situation. But I also ran up the uphill part of it right before. So this is at the end of, this is at the mile 5 mark is when I sort of started this 3-mile segment that led to a PR for me, right? So I did it a full minute faster than my previous PR in 2044. Do I think that I could run a 5K faster than that? Yeah, I bet you I could do it in under 20 right now. That didn't even feel effortful, but I have to credit the shoe to that. And after spending such an enormous time out on the run, ragging on this shoe and complaining and just not having fun with it, speeding up, it didn't solve the problem. It was like the mosquito in your car when you're on a road trip and you're blasting music and you're going 80 miles an hour with the windows down. The mosquito, you can't hear the mosquito. You can't hear the mosquito. right? And really, like the niggles and the frustrations that I have with this shoe are more. It's more like a horde of mosquitoes, or like 7 black flies, or like maybe even 2 bees in your car on a highway going 80 miles an hour with the music on. So you really have to like really distract yourself with effort for this to not be painful to run in, or just plain unpleasant for me. For me, right? I think some people might find this comfortable, especially if you don't have such an aggressive forefoot landing as I do. You might, if you're landing in the heel on this, you might really not even experience any of what I'm talking about. You might think I'm a crazy person. Like, I know a lot of people out there right now that are reviewing this shoe. This hasn't been super well received by the community in general, but people that are reviewing it are saying it's comfortable and it's stable. And some people are also saying it's not comfortable. For me, it is not comfortable, and it's really, really not comfortable. And there's a couple things that I think I might have determined about why that might be so. But I want to, before I lay into the negatives on this shoe, which there are many of, I want to commend it for, at least for a brief period of time in late July of 2025, holding a very outdated and very in need of refreshing PR for me, my 5K PR. So thank you, Mr. Rocket. I appreciate your speed. Moment of silence over. So I think that one of the things that is causing the forefoot, so this is on both feet, right about here is where I'm getting the most pain. So right on the ball of my foot, even through the toe. And I even stopped on the run, or not stopped, but thought I had realized something out on the run, that it felt like I was being pushed upwards here, right? Just on the ball though, not through the arch, not through the heel, just on the ball of my foot. Like there was some sort of, maybe not even push, but some sort of intrusion pressurizing the side of my foot, and pushing inward, creating pinching. And that's a thing that I'll come to in a second, but creating pinching through the forefoot, and general like pressure point. And, I was thinking maybe it's because when you look at the plate placement in the forefoot, it is a lot closer to the foam. Like there's just simply a lot less foam in the forefoot than I think is necessary for a shoe of this type. There's like maybe a couple inches, I don't know how thick it is, but right in the midfoot, there's so much foam, and that all sort of disappears in the forefoot. And so, I think there's a couple reasons for this construction, but while I was out on the run, what I was trying to get to before I distracted myself is that I thought that the winged plate was actually on the medial side, because it felt like there was like a Lego or like a clip or some sort of posting that was pressing into the side of my foot, creating both that like muscular tension and not even a hot spot, but like a bruise spot, like a harsh, like plate feel type of bruise spot, right, along the medial side of my forefoot and on the ball of my foot. And then I looked at the shoe, I'm like, oh, that's actually over here. But wait, it lines up, right, more or less to the other side. Like if you're lining up where that winged plate is here and mirroring it on the medial side of the foot, I'm wondering if, my team's noise. I'm wondering if the clip, like the clipped in feel that you get from the lateral stability is actually pushing your foot medially, which incentivizes your foot to land more in a pronated fashion, right? And I know that I pronate more with my right foot marginally than with my left foot, and that's where I was having marginally more pain. So I'm like sitting here right now and there's still pain in both balls of my feet. So anytime a shoe causes you pain, it's going to be really hard to reach for it, and that's just the case for this for me. it is going to be hard for me to reach for the shoe in the future for any purpose whatsoever, except for maybe a 5K PR attempt. But I think that identifying this as maybe causing me to pronate a little harder on my right side and in general pronate a little harder, leading to more impact on my forefoot. And because I'm a forefoot striker, that forefoot strike being all targeted towards the ball of my foot. So like pronator plus forefoot strike, where you landing ball of foot, shoe that incentivizes pronation, and landing on the ball of foot. But it's supposed to be a more stable shoe. So that's why I really don't know if that's necessarily the case. And I didn't feel like I was pronating excessively. So, and it didn't even really feel like I was being corrected immediately. All it felt like was additional pressure on the medial side and on the ball of my forefoot. I'm trying to make sense of it and understand what might be going on for my foot in this shoe, but it just simply does not work for my shoe. And this is also the one that is in all shoes. The right shoe is generally a little harder for me to get a lockdown on. This one was like mind-blowingly hard to get a lockdown on for me. I know that other people have said that they don't have that issue. I've seen some people say that they do have that issue. I do think it's the elf ear heel tab construction, and maybe what it really is like maybe that construction's fine, but it's not deep enough for my foot. It could be that I have like a higher heel bone. I don't know. I'm really reaching for an understanding here. Maybe I just need to go to a physio and get an understanding, or like a podiatrist or somebody to get an understanding of my foot situation on my right foot. Another observation, these are short. This is a crazy thing for me to say because I'm on the really short size of a 9.5. I've actually even recently considered sizing down to a 9 in some shoes because they are long. But not this one. This is short. It's like I could feel if it's even slightly not locked down, my big toe on my right foot is sliding to the front. I mean, even on my left foot, that happened for a little bit, and then I fixed it, and it was fine. So whatever. If you don't have any lockdown issues with your shoes generally, if you don't have any of the things that I'm describing in any shoes, like if that's never an issue for you, you're almost certainly going to be fine with this shoe. I do think, though, that it is still one of the harsher, full stacked racing shoes that I've tried. And I think it's really limited to the 5 and 10K for me. And this is somebody that might consider taking the Streak Fly to a half marathon, and probably even the Takumi Sen to a half marathon. I think that those would provide more comfort to me than this would. That's saying a lot. This is just not comfortable for my foot. But at those faster paces, it just drowned out the noise. It drowned out the noise of the pain. Then when I got home, right, parked my car on a country road and stepped outside where it's dead quiet in the middle of the night, I got home from the run, walked inside my house where everything's really quiet and my dogs were napping. Then everything started hurting again. Like both feet on the bottom of my feet. My legs were a little beat up. My soleus coming up behind my gastroc on my left side is a little dinged up and like tender. I can feel it underneath there. At least I'm pretty sure it's either that or it's my gastrocnemius on the outside of the big chunky calf part. One of those two is feeling some pain following this run, and just generally like it's not. I think I said this out on the run. It doesn't absorb impact as well as other shoes, but it does respond. Pipa's a good foam. Pipa might be old news these days, but Pipa's a great foam. So I appreciate your attention. I PR'd in the 5K. See ya.